Alex Kelly with Fiber Spine, and in this video we're going to focus on the fiber. You recall, or you may recall, that in the first video we talked about the first half of the installation, which is with the microduct, and this is the plastic tube that we've installed through your home or your office, with one end going from that aggregation point, kind of the structured wiring cabinet or equipment closet, out to the various rooms or locations in your home or office where you need traffic either dropped off or Wi-Fi coverage or what have you. The beautiful thing about this microduct is that it stays in place forever, and it just forms this magic tube that fiber slides through. In most fiber spine installations, we use fiber that has 2 fiber conductors, but it can go up to 24. So for applications where people want to segregate traffic onto physically separate networks, to grow from 2 fibers to 4 or 6 or 8 or up to 24, we just slide this out and slide in a new fiber run, and it makes it extremely easy to do those kinds of upgrades. That, coupled with the build quality of this fiber, is why fiber spine installations are guaranteed for as long as you own your home or as long as you're in that office facility. So we really believe in the quality of the construction of these components and know that they'll last you a lifetime. So what I've got here is an example of a small 20-meter run, if you will, of the fiber, and you can see that one end of it is pre-terminated. In this case, we're using Sam Charlie connectors. You can really use any type of connector depending on the type of equipment you're terminating into, but because we push one end of the fiber into the microduct, we can pre-terminate one end, which again makes the field installation very quick and easy. We don't have to take these fibers and terminate both ends, which sometimes can be labor intensive, even though the splicing methods and the construction methods have really gotten a lot better over time. But in this case, as I mentioned, we're using the Sam Charlie connectors, which mates up with the media converter. And then on the other end, we've got the partially assembled LC or Lima Charlie connectors. You can see them in this tube here, and it's got a little loop on the end that we would tie into the pull string that's already in our microduct, pull it through the microduct, and then when we're ready to assemble, fully assemble on the other end, we take this tube off, and you can see there you've got an orange and a blue fiber, 2 fibers coming out of this sheath, some springs because the connector bodies are spring loaded, and then this white cap on the end covers the two ceramic ferrules where the light egresses from the fiber and connects into either an SFP optical module or another connector housing. So those are the 2 ends, and then you'll also see another reason we're able to guarantee these components for life is the testing that's done on them prior to installation. In this case, it's done at both 1310 nanometers and at 1550 nanometers. This same fiber is used in outside plant installations, so it's extremely robust. And in those outside plant installs, you may be going a much longer distance and incurring larger losses. So you need to know exactly what these loss measurements are at different wavelengths. Inside your home or office, loss isn't nearly as much of an issue, so we really don't have to worry with that, but it is good to know regardless. Here's an example of a media converter. This is just a little box that converts from optical to electrical. We've got the optical connector on the left here, transmit and receive, an RJ45 Cat5 connection that would go out to a media server or computer or disc player or whatever you have that you're terminating into, and then some very convenient look at status LEDs that tell you whether you're getting power, if you're operating full duplex or half duplex, whether you're running at 100 megabits per second or gigabit per second, whether you've got any activity on the link, and whether there are any collisions occurring on the link. In a fiber spine, we run full duplex and we run with a switch, so we don't have any collision domains. So collisions are something we rarely ever see on the line. Then in the back, we've got a power connection and some dip switch settings for the various protection modes. But this is a very low-cost media converter. There's another variant of this called a network demarc, and the demarcation allows you to do testing out to it. So it's got a little bit more brain power in the box that'll allow you to measure things like latency, delay, jitter, throughput, a whole variety of parameters that give you the health of that data connection out to that device. And that may be really important in a business setting where you've got service level agreements that you need to support. So for residential applications, we use the lower cost media converters. And then those media converters will home back into this gigabit fiber switch. In this case, it's got 8 ports that are receptacles for the small form factor pluggable optical modules. And the beauty of this is these modules give you a variety of variables that you can take into account. For example, the wavelength that they operate at, the distance that they will push the light, and the speed of operation that they'll support. So in this case, these small form factor pluggable modules will support 10 kilometers of fiber, which is more than enough for any standard installation, and they'll run a gigabit per second. In the future, if you decide to upgrade, and say this port goes out to your service provider and you want to upgrade from, say, gigabit to 10 gigabit, we wish, you would just pop this module out, put in an SFP plus that would run at 10 gigabit speeds, and then ultimately you would have that traffic available to all of the endpoints in your home or office. And one question that I get very routinely is, well, if my service provider is only giving me, say, 10 megabits per second, or is really being the bottleneck in this whole picture, why would I need gigabit speeds and why would I need fiber inside my home? Well, 2 reasons. One, fiber network speeds always go up. So if you're ready today with fiber, you're going to be ready 10 years, 20 years from today with that same fiber. So as an example, if this connector right here is running out to a computer that, say, has 60 gig of pictures on it, and this connector is running to a disk array where I want to store those pictures, there's no reason I would want to slow those down to 10 meg per second. I want to run as fast as I can. If I could run 100 gigabits per second, I would do it so I could transfer those pictures, as fast as possible, regardless of the speed that I'm getting from my internet service provider. But inevitably, as we're seeing here in our local community, we've got AT&T, Google Fiber, Comcast, and others talking about really bumping our speeds up. When that happens, all we do is plug in an optical module for them, go out to their optical network termination, and then we've got full optical speeds or ultra-band connectivity, ultra-broadband connectivity, not only through our house, but out into the outside world. And the beauty of that is we can take advantage of those speeds today, and then as that service provider brings those speeds to your door, you can just plug and go. The other thing here is that I think is important for builders to realize is if we wire more homes with fiber spines and we've got them fiber ready and essentially future proof, then these service providers that are building to demand, which means they go find communities that will sign up for their services and are ready to go, they're going to be more inclined to come to your community than they are some other community because you've got this fiber infrastructure in place. The only other thing I wanted to point out, these are in this blister pack, we've got the portions of the connector housing that are going to be used for this partially terminated connector. So once we install that through the microduct, we take these various plastic parts and just snap them into place, and they form a unibody where I can plug 2 fiber connectors in at the same time. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to take this longer fiber run. You can see it here on the spool. This is about 150 feet of fiber with the connectors attached and that type of thing. We're going to take a break, put that in our microduct that we've installed in the first video, and come back and light up the fiber spine for that portion of the house. All right, talk to you soon.